I'd never do anything that stupid. If I did, my career would be over.
Lucas.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not only that, but it's also based on the graphic novel series made by Brian Lee O'Malley. All 6 graphic novels are absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend reading all of them. The series is well known for having many references to video games and heavily inspired by anime. But besides that, the series is about a young adult named Scott Pilgrim who's at a party and he falls in love with a girl named Ramona Flowers, and they both start to build up a relationship. But in order for Scott to keep on dating Ramona, he will have to defeat her 7 evil exes while at the same time becoming a better person. While yes, the concept is pretty silly, I think the emotional weight that is in the graphic novels themselves really does help the series stand out. In fact, my favorite novel in the entire series is novel 4, Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together, which makes Scott grow more as a character. Now, when I first heard that they were making an anime that was going to be on Netflix, I was absolutely hyped. I finally thought that we were going to get true adaptations of the graphic novels. The movie tried, but due to the runtime and a lot of content happening in the books themselves, all of that stuff was kind of cut out in the movie. But, of course, the anime had a chance of finally adapting the books. Of course, no bait and switch whatsoever. Jokes aside though, I do think the bait and switch is actually a good thing than a bad thing. And I say that because it actually helps with building Ramona as a better character than she was in the movie, especially in the books, and I'm going to explain why. The concept of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is about Ramona trying to find out what really happened to Scott after finding out that Matthew didn't actually defeat him, but one of her exes must have taken Scott as revenge. So of course this makes her have to reconnect with her evil exes, and that builds her more as a character than just a bland pixie girl that Scott is really into. I actually like this change, and I think it was a good idea to make Ramona the main character in the anime. Not only does it make her more interesting, but it makes her more of a character. When she visits her evil exes, she always wants to at least try and find a way to resolve and find an answer, and that's by her visiting the past, but also finding out that she wasn't that great of a person when she was younger. And that's why the evil exes became, well, evil. And when she tries to apologize to them and they finally resolve with her, it feels earning. Now, a lot of stuff happens when Scott disappears in the anime. Ramona has to revisit her evil exes to find out what actually happened to Scott. Not only that, but also Gideon gets defeated by Matthew. And we see that Scott's friends has to still continue with the band. Young Neil actually makes a movie about Scott if he actually didn't get defeated by Matthew. A lot of stuff happens in the anime, but to be fair, the pacing in the anime never feels rushed and it always flows at a very decent pace, and I like that. After Ramona visits all of her evil exes, she finds out that Scott was not even taken by any of them, but he was taken by some type of portal. Then after that, we see Scott again, but this time he's with future Ramona. When Scott was trying to find Matthew, he was taken by someone in some type of portal, which he traveled into the future, in future Toronto, meeting his 37-year-old self, telling him that it was a mistake falling in love with Ramona and defeating the exes. Older Scott is upset because Ramona filed a divorce on him after being married, and of course this makes older Scott tell younger Scott to not fall in love with Ramona and, just forget about her. So of course Scott is kind of just stuck in the future until he meets older Ramona, who offers to help him to get back to the past and hopefully, build up the relationship between Scott and Ramona again. Future and past Ramona are able to meet each other, but only for a little bit. Scott goes to Knives to apologize for even dating her, but Knives is pretty happy that they stopped dating since it pretty much made her grow more and learn more about herself. After that, Scott and Ramona try to kiss each other, and, there's this pink thing that blocks them from trying to kiss each other, and this makes Scott worried that he has to fight the 7 evil exes again. So of course they go to a musical that Matthew is actually going to be a part of, which has to deal with Scott's life, just like the movie that got canceled. During the musical, a huge portal just comes out of nowhere, and everybody gets sucked into it. And we finally meet the main villain in the anime. Even older Scott. He is responsible for the force field that causes Scott and Ramona to not kiss each other, but also he realizes that Scott didn't listen to his advice to keep away from Ramona, so that he decides to kill past Scott. Scott and Ramona try and defeat him, but he's way too powerful, but that isn't until even older Ramona try and stop him. In order to do this, Ramona has to at least accept herself and become a better person. And of course, both Ramonas accept each other. And after that, Ramona turns into Super Ramona, breaking the force field. And finally, Scott and Ramona can become a couple. After that, everybody returns back to the theater so they could finish watching the musical. And everybody goes on living their own separate lives to become better people. Overall, this was a very fun anime to watch from beginning to end. While yes, it sucks that Scott doesn't actually appear that much, and even if you're new to the Scott Pilgrim franchise and this is your first time experiencing Scott Pilgrim, you don't really get to know him all that much, besides him just saying sorry to Kim, and well, yeah, Scott really isn't that much of a character in the anime, besides Ramona, but I still very much enjoyed this anime from beginning to end, and I would definitely give it a watch again. For score wise, I would give this a 9.5 out of 10. I would highly recommend giving this anime a watch, especially if you're into anime or just Scott Pilgrim in general. Definitely a good watch. And if you have seen it, what do you think about it? So let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye.